Welcome into the Nashville Game Changers podcast. I'm your host, Jill Jelnick. Women's pro basketball is once again taking over Nashville. Athletes Unlimited returns to the Music City for its second year here in Nashville and its fifth championship season overall. And here to help us kick off the new season for Athletes Unlimited, one of the stars of the league, three-time WNBA champion, and Tennessee native Alysha Clark. AC, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So excited that you're back again for year two for Athletes Unlimited, and your first season went so well. I mean, not only was it so exciting for the city, but you personally, top 15 on the leaderboard, over 3,500 points, also all defensive team. Safe to say year one went pretty well for you?
Yeah, I guess when you say it like that, it sounds like it went pretty well. I was a little hard on myself. I was like, oh, I could have done better. But yeah, it went really well. I had, no really good idea or grasp on what to expect. And so once you get into kind of the flow of it and got the hang of it, I was like, oh, it's about to be over already. I just got the hang of this.
It does go by quick.
Yeah.
And for those that are not as familiar with Athletes Unlimited, it is essentially a off-season league for 40 of the best women's basketball players in the world. Like not even the country, not the state, in the world. 40 of the best players. They come together. And a big purpose for Athletes Unlimited is to make sure that WNBA players have a place to play here in the off season. They don't have to go overseas. And of course, also it helps grow the sport. So now that you have that first season under your belt, what were some of the things that surprised you? What did you love the most about Athletes Unlimited?
I think right off the bat, the thing that I love the most was just the people last year. I'm such a big people person and just like environment type of person. And so every player last year thoroughly enjoyed being around them, getting to know them in different ways. Everyone on the staff on AU, everyone who does equipment, to our medical staff, to the behind-the-scenes ops people, like everybody was just really, really pleasant to be around. And I loved coming into, to work every day. So that was really cool. And then I just loved the format, honestly. It keeps everything competitive. And sometimes in sports, when someone's, a team is blowing another team out, it just kind of gets boring and players don't play as hard, et cetera. But with AU, everything matters. If you win a quarter, you get points. Every rebound, every assist, every made shot, like everything matters. And so that kind of keeps that drive and that competitive spirit alive. So even if your team wasn't doing well, if you were doing well, you were continuously showing up and playing your hardest and playing your best. And I found it was so much fun to be able to play that way.
The format is very unique and it is very different from your typical WNBA or just basketball game. What's the best way to describe the difference between AU and pro basketball?
I think just that it's professional basketball, that everything matters. We like to say that all the time when we're playing. It's like, oh, this possession matters. This run matters. And it does. But in AU, it matters in a different way, because if you win a quarter, you get win points. If you make an assist, you get points for that. If you have a turnover, you get points deducted. So literally everything matters. And that's probably the best way that I can explain it. It's like it matters, but like a little extra.
Well, and in that sense, like you said, there's kind of a little bit more sense of urgency in areas that don't have that maybe asterisk, right? In the W, right?
Yeah.
They're, going after that extra ball, that hustle. Of course, it's there when you're playing a game in the W. We all know that.
Of course.
But there is a little more excitement. Is it? I'm not going to ask you, is it more fun than the W? But is it nice having a different approach to the game?
It is. And for me, I've been playing professionally for going on 15 years now, which is crazy to say. But yeah, it's always nice when you can be in an environment that invigorates that competitiveness in you and is a new learning experience. And when you're playing in the same league or you're going overseas to the same team, you get in this routine of what to expect, how hard you have to play, what teams you have to get up for, et cetera. So it's nice when you can step into a space, especially as a professional, where it changes that cadence a little bit and kind of, ignites something different inside.
Absolutely. And then how about just playing in Nashville. You grew up here in Middle Tennessee, went to Mount Juliet High School, then continued your collegiate career in Middle Tennessee with Belmont and MTSU. Being back here in Nashville, again, that's got to be pretty special.
Oh, so special. That was something that last year, outside of the things I've already listed, was at the top for me. I hadn't played at home since I graduated from MTSU in 2010, so to be able to be back here in front of friends and family and, people who have seen me, my peers who saw me play when I was at Mount Juliet and I wasn't that good, And so to be able to be around people that have seen that journey and saw me from the very beginning was super special. I had my high school coaches that have come to the games last year. I had Ma. Ma is like the infamous, she's everybody's basketball grandma from Mount Juliet. She is 101. She came, sat courtside and cheered me on last year. She goes to all the games in Wilson County. Like she is, when you think of women's basketball in Middle Tennessee, Ma, you think of her in every bit of it. So to be able to have her not only sitting courtside when I was playing high school to now be able to sit here when I was playing professionally was really special. And so again, just to come back here, kind of share this Middle Tennessee experience with, my peers. I've been fortunate enough to be able to play in this amazing basketball culture here in Middle Tennessee. And so to be able to share that with everyone else who isn't from here and let them know, we were the sold out games in high school. We were the packed gyms. That was us, the girls basketball team at the time. And so now to be able to kind of bridge that gap as a professional women's league here, it means everything.
And continue to help grow the sport.
Yeah.
When you were in Middle Tennessee growing up, there was no Athletes Unlimited, right? That we didn't have any W team that was playing anywhere close, to Tennessee, which is still blows my mind that there's still no W team in Tennessee.
You and me both.
Yeah, right. So to be able to have this professional league for February and part of March play and showcase these talented women and be able to have the city and all the other young girls and women across Middle Tennessee come watch them.
Yeah.
How important is that for you?
It's so important because, hopefully one day hopefully Tennessee will have a WNBA team here. Having the Atlanta Dream, that's, still a 4.5 hour drive for people. That's not a super easy place to get to. So to be able to be here now and kind of help lay the foundation to show that Nashville is ready for a WNBA team and that the support is here. There are fans here that love women's basketball and want to be able to support it. So to be able to be a part of that right now and kind of laying that foundation is super important. Because I'm biased. I'm like, I think a team would do really well here. But when you look across the legacy of women's basketball in this city, you look at Betty Wiseman over at Belmont and what she's been able to do in women's basketball, the late, great Pat Summitt, what she's done for women's basketball here. And then you have Rick Ensel up the street in Murfreesboro. Like there's so much rich women's basketball culture here. And so to be able to showcase that to not only, again, like I said, my peers, but to the investors, the people that are a part of making those decisions, like, hey, look, Nashville is a great spot for that. I'm happy I get to be a part of this.
It is crazy how we as in Tennessee, the state of Tennessee has had so many instrumental leaders when it comes to women's basketball. You mentioned Betty Wiseman, Pat Summitt, Rick Ensel, Ma from Mount Juliet. Like, and the list goes on and on. I'm sure I'm forgetting some, but it is crazy to think that when you look at the history of women's basketball, so many roots are here, pivotal moments, inspiration, and it's so great to have Athletes Unlimited continue that success. And I hope it doesn't slow down anytime soon. I really hope not. You're listening to the Nashville Game Changers podcast with 3-time WNBA champion Alysha Clark. We'll be right back after this. Alysha, let's go ahead and go back to your college days because you're a star in the WNBA. You were a collegiate star here in Middle Tennessee. First at Belmont and then MTSU. Going back to your Bruins days, I believe you were the first player in Belmont history to score 1,000 points, the fastest player to get there. Okay, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And then you continued that success at MTSU, in the MTSU Hall of Fame, one of their all-time greats. How do you begin to describe your collegiate career here in Middle Tennessee?
Oh, man. I don't even know how I would describe it. Honestly, I would probably say insane. Just because of where I started in this basketball journey when we moved here to Mount Juliet. I was a volleyball and track star. Like those were my sports. Basketball was just that sport that I did in between to stay in shape. And so to have been able to grow in this sport and develop into the player that I was in college is pretty special. I don't have a lot of time, or I don't allow myself a lot of time to kind of reflect back because I'm always like, okay, how can I get better? What can I do better? But here lately, I've been thinking about it. One, just because I've been in these situations where I'm having to talk about it. And so, I mean, for instance, the 2006 team at Belmont, we were inducted into the Belmont Hall of Fame as a legendary team. And so I got to be around all of my teammates from back then, the five freshmen that came in together, got together for the first time, and I don't even know how long, and seeing my other teammates and some of my old coaches, it's so special. And it's honestly insane. I can't believe that this little late bloomer that moved from Topeka, Kansas to Mount Juliet turned out, and now I'm in two Hall of Fames here at both schools that were such a pivotal part of my career. There is no me if I didn't start at Belmont because of the coaches that I had there, my teammates I played with, and then going on to middle, just continuing to be able to develop and grow, and what Coach Insel brought out of me. And, you know, I mean, even just starting back at Mount Juliet with Coach Fryer and Coach Sims, like they taught me the fundamentals. They taught me how to play basketball and like what that actually looked like. And I was able to carry that through my collegiate career. And so it's been the foundation of my professional career, and why honestly I feel like I've been able to last as long as I have, because I understand the importance of the basics, of the fundamentals. I understand how to play good basketball, and I understand what it takes to win. I've won it, you know, in high school, college, and now the pros, and so I don't think it's by coincidence that part of it, that character of who I am as a basketball player, was instilled from me from here in Middle Tennessee.
I know you have a lot of great memories from your college days from both schools, including a 50-point game. You dropped 50.
It's insane. Like
against
what?
Troy. Like, oh my gosh, do you still think about that? Or?
Honestly, I did. I only did one because so when Michaela Blakes scored 50 at Vandy, and I was like, okay, welcome to the 50-point club in Middle Tennessee. You know,
welcome,
I'm like,
Michaela Blakes, been there. Yeah.
And I thought back to that game, and after the game, I remember it being like really crazy. Like everyone was super excited. They're like, oh my God, this is so insane. And I was like, yeah, but those 8 layups I missed and that one free throw, you know, I knew exactly the shot. I went through my mind and I was like, oh, I should have finished that layup. I should have finished that one. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like sometimes I have to remind myself when you get in this rut of like the role that you play for teams and stuff, and like being able to step into AU and workouts, it's like I have to remind myself that I'm capable of more. Like, you've done this before. You're a scorer. You know how to do these things. And so it's like a mentality play. So I have to like remind myself, like, you scored 50 points once. You know how to put the ball in the basket. So act like it.
You could just hear the competitiveness when you speak. And you mentioned it earlier. You are critical on yourself. Yeah. But I think any professional athlete is to some extent, more or less, you know, it varies between athletes. But that's what has made you successful, and has gotten you this far. So aside from that 50-point game, what are some other of your favorite memories from your college days?
Oh, man. So many. But I think from Belmont, I think my favorite memory is just kind of helping change the direction of that program with the 5 freshmen that came in, and we had some really great upperclassmen. And the year that we made it to the NCAA tournament for the first time in school history, that was such a big moment. And, you know, sometimes you get lost in comparing your accolades to like what other people are doing and what other players have done. And when you look back, that was such a huge moment for our university. And to be a part of that historic team was really, really special. And then when I think about middle, there's I'll tell the good memories. But I think just the ability to, when I transferred, it was a decision that I really had to sit with because, it's not free, do what you want back then like it is now where you can just transfer with no consequences. But I really had to sit with it because I was like, okay, what am I wanting to accomplish by this transfer? And what am I hoping to do? What am I hoping what opportunities, geez, I can't even say this. What opportunities am I hoping will come from me transferring? And so I was like, okay, well, I want a chance to play professionally. And so being able to go and test myself against some of the best competition in the country, we're playing Oklahoma and we're playing LSU and Tennessee and all these other big power schools. And I was like, let's see what you got, homegirl. Like, let's see what you got and see if you're just as good. And so I think for me, my favorite memory just in terms of that was really proving myself right and showing up for myself and seeing what I was capable of. And similar to everything else, it's always the people. When I look back now, like the friendships that I have, they're my teammates from back then. Like my best friend from high school lives down the street and I get to go and be around her, and my college teammates, like I just drove down to Atlanta to see one of my teammates and spend time with her and her family. Like she's one of my closest friends. And so just being able to curate those relationships and have those, it really means a lot to me. But I think, those were probably my favorite memories, honestly, just being able to prove myself right.
Stay with us. You're listening to Tennessee native and 3-time WNBA champion Alysha Clark on the Nashville Game Changers podcast. We'll be right back after this. So to continue on your story, you would eventually make your way to the WNBA where you would go on to be a 3-time champion. You've been there 15 years. Is it going on year 16? Is that what this is?
Going on year 15.
Going on year 15.
Yeah.
Safe to say that it's been a heck of a run for you in the W.
Yeah, it's been quite the journey. And it feels like it's flown by. Now that I'm sitting here talking to you, I'm like, wow, this is about to be year 15. That's insane. But yeah, it's been a journey. I've enjoyed it. I have loved the challenges that come night in and night out of playing, the best players in the world. And I just love competition. Like I love to compete, and to be able to have been a part of different franchises that are such a critical part of the WNBA. When you think of Seattle being there from the beginning and just the championships we won there, then being in DC and what that means being in the, nation's capital and everything that they do for women's sports there in DC and then in Vegas. I mean, it just top down everything. The first organization that really had an owner that believed and invested in the team and the players. And so for me to have been a part of all of those organizations, all championship organizations, again, I don't think it's accidental that I ended up in those 3. And so being able to kind of reflect on it and think about my journey has been so fun. And to think that I've won 3 championships when I didn't even think I was good enough to be in this league is mind-blowing, honestly.
3 championships, also 6th Player of the Year award in that 2023 Aces team, right? That was a special, I'm sure all 3 of those championships were special. That last one in Las Vegas, where you did get the 6th Player of the Year, you dedicated your season to your dad, your late dad.
Yeah.
Was that always going to be your plan from the beginning? How would you describe how special that was, culminating with the championship that year?
Man, it was definitely it was divine alignment for sure. Losing my dad unexpectedly that fall before was one of the hardest things I've ever had to go through in life. And for me and my dad, basketball was our thing. My family's a music family. And so everybody does music, and that was kind of their connection with like my family. And I was like the oddball out. I did sports. And so that was something that like my dad and I shared. And, there was one time I was just sitting at the house with him, and he was just like, I'll be danged if it wasn't my daughter that played sports, that wasn't the athlete of the family. And we kind of just had a chuckle about it. But, it was pretty cool because when you look now in like sports and with these young girls growing up with, the girl dad term when, it was coined with Kobe Bryant, the late Kobe Bryant and his daughters, it was like I didn't even realize that's what it was or that it was special because it was just the norm in my house. My dad showed up for the games, and not just my dad, like my mom as well, but just in terms of having that father support. I saw it with my best friend and her dad. It was just like, it's what you do, girls and their dads in sports, that's normal. Again, in this area, that's normal. But as I got older and started going through and you start seeing all the talk about girl dads and supporting girls in sports, I was like, wow, that was never a conversation I ever had to have. It just was. My dad was there. He was supportive of it. And so going into that 2023 season, I was like, my dad, he hates when we cried. He was like, stop crying. Like, I don't want to see you cry. And just kind of like, keep going, like fight through. Oh, I don't want to get emotional. And so that's what I was like, okay, I'm going to do. And it was a heavy, heavy weight to carry that season because there were so many firsts that like that first game day where like I didn't get a voice note from him or a voicemail from him. It's like, okay. Or like when I played really well, he was always the first one on my line to call me and be like, great job, Bones, whatever. And so there were so many moments that season that were just so hard for me. And like, it still feels heavy now. And it's like, going through this grief journey it's extremely difficult. Like there's no end. It's just like, it hits you some days and some days it doesn't. And so that season I was like, this is my sixth man. And that was my prayer that I prayed before every game. And I'd never won an individual award in the W. You get to a point where you understand, like, that's only going to happen for certain players. You know what I mean? Like, being an all-star, being a whatever kind of player, like, that just, it wasn't on the radar. So for that to have been my first, like, major individual award, and then to end it with a championship, I couldn't have written it any better. And I know he was alongside me that entire season because there was no way I could have gotten through that. Like there were some days that I woke up and I didn't even want to go to the gym. But I was like, he's going to be mad if you don't get up and go, but too, for me, it was like a way to honor and like cherish that relationship that I had with him. Was like, if I show up and play, like I'm doing this for us, I'm doing the thing that he loved to watch me do. So yeah, it was a really special season. I'm grateful for the group that I got to play alongside that helped me through the days. Cause it was hard, but they showed up for me and behind the scenes and supported me in ways that I'm forever grateful for. So yeah.
Thanks for sharing. It's obvious you keep him close to your heart and around your neck for Dwayne.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a urn pendant, and his ashes are in here. And so after he passed, I had my family, like my immediate family, choose something that, like a pendant that reminded them of him or like reminded them of their connection to him. And so everyone picked out their pendant, and we had them made. And so it's just a way for all of us to keep him close to us.
Close.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Before we let you go, let's finish with our opinion segment. In my opinion, we've talked a lot about different things. I know we talked about hopefully getting a W team here in Tennessee, the sport. But for you, something that's on your mind, free range, doesn't have to be about basketball, but just something that you are passionate about.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm passionate about this. Maybe I'm passionate about it because I love to clean and organize.
Ooh, I'm
but
interested.
I literally just had this thought yesterday because there was a commercial. The magic eraser.
Yeah. It's ingenious.
Okay. So I'm like, nobody's ever thought like, what is in this little sponge? Because
Correct.
we have all these like sprays and scrubs and sponges to get stuff off and nothing, and it doesn't work. But all of a sudden you grab this little sponge
and it does the trick.
And it wipes it clean.
Yes.
And no matter what it is, permanent marker, grease, it doesn't matter. It's white clean. Nobody's thought about like what's in this magic eraser.
Yeah, yes. Oh my gosh.
But I do stay stocked with them because I love a clean house. But I just was sitting there yesterday on my couch watching the commercial, and I was like, it really gets what is in this magic eraser?
Has anyone asked those questions? What are the chemicals?
You know,
what is
like,
in this?
what is
How do
it?
they do this?
But it's genius.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out to Magic Eraser.
Okay. I'm still under the impression that it's just magic. It's beyond my comprehension. I'm not even gonna go there. I just trust it.
We all just trust it and know it's gonna do its job.
Yes.
It is magic indeed. But yeah, I was sitting there, I was like, this is wild.
You might have yourself a new sponsor, girly.
Listen, all the cleaning things come my way. Please.
Yes.
Cleaning, organizing companies, holla at your girl.
Yes, AC, the cleaning lady. I love it. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Alysha, so much for coming on the show, talking about the past, about the future with women's basketball, all your memories, your dad. Thank you so much for sharing. And we are so excited for Athletes Unlimited. Kicks off February 4th. You can get your tickets. We want you there in person cheering on these incredible athletes, including AC, where she's going to be there too. And it's going to be so much fun. So thank you so much for coming on. I know it's going to be a hectic February for you. So thanks for taking the time to come chat with us.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks so much for listening to the Nashville Game Changers podcast. Be sure to tune in next week for our new guest. And as always, you can check out every episode on YouTube, and also be sure to check us out on social media. And when you're there, please like and subscribe.